Mama Bluder, Lisa Bluder, had some explosive words in an interview in regards to Caitlin Clark. This is major. This just proves exactly why Stephanie White is not the coach for Caitlin Clark. We have all our concerns in a major way. We watched a lot of the nonsense that Stephanie White pulled with Caitlin Clark last season. Okay, she came in here and completely messed up the offense, brought in a bunch of vets that Natasha Howard's talking about winning MVP. DeWanna Bonner showed up and scammed the team. She had Aaliyah Boston playing point guard, Caitlin Clark playing small forward. Mama Bluder addressed what needs to happen for Caitlin Clark, and she pretty much exposed
her to really put herself out there and risk, like with those threes and with some of those unbelievable passes that other people be like, you know, I might fail. There's none of that with her. And then she works her butt off, quite honestly. I mean, the kid works. She's in the gym. You know, she takes care of all the things mentally as well as physically. She's learned how to do that, take care of her body, you know. First, you didn't maybe eat the best, you know. She's an unbelievable competitor. And I don't care what you're playing. Like, and she was a great soccer player. And she really,
I've heard that.
Yeah, and she attributes a lot of her passing angles to learning that on the soccer field. And it's so true. Like, she is the best. Every time, you know, three-point shooting, she is the best passer.
We all knew something was off with the way Caitlin Clark was being handled in Indiana. But nobody expected her former coach to be the one to finally pull back the curtain. Lisa Bluder, the woman who turned Caitlin into a global icon, just sat down for an interview that didn't just raise eyebrows. It effectively set the Indiana Fever's coaching staff on fire. While most people saw a polite conversation about a former player, those who understand the game saw a calculated point-by-point exposure of every single mistake currently being made with the most valuable asset in women's basketball. It raises a question that is currently haunting the league. Is the coaching staff in Indiana actually sabotaging their own superstar? To understand why this interview was so explosive, you have to understand the secret sauce that Lisa Bluder discovered years ago at Iowa. She pointed out something that most professional coaches are terrified of. Caitlin Clark has absolutely zero fear of failure. Now that sounds like a cliche, but in the world of high-stakes basketball, it's a nightmare for a coach who wants total control. Bluder explained that Clark's greatness doesn't come from her following a playbook. It comes from her willingness to take risks that would get any other player benched. When she pulls up from the logo or tries a cross-court pass through 3 defenders, she isn't being reckless. She's being Caitlin. But here's the problem. The current regime in Indiana is risk-averse. They want a slow, methodical, grinding game. By trying to fix her shot selection and tame her passing, they aren't just making her more efficient, they're effectively turning off the engine that makes her elite. It's like buying a Ferrari and then complaining that it goes too fast in a school zone. There's a part of Caitlin's game that almost nobody understands, and Bluder finally shed some light on it. It's the soccer vision. Before she was a basketball phenom, Clark was a high-level soccer player, and that's where she learned the passing angles that leave WNBA defenders looking confused. In soccer, you don't pass to where the player is, you pass to where the space will be. Bluder recognized this early on and built an entire system to accommodate those supernatural instincts. But look at what's happening now. Instead of using that vision to orchestrate a fast-break masterpiece, we're seeing Clark being told to wait for the play to develop. She's being forced into a box, and it's creating a massive disconnect on the floor. When you have the best passer in the world, a Magic Johnson-level talent, and you have her standing in the corner while a post player brings the ball up the court, you aren't just making a tactical error. You're committing coaching malpractice. It gets even deeper when you look at the pace of the game. Lisa Bluder's Iowa was a track meet. They wanted to tire you out, frustrate you, and then bury you under a mountain of 3-pointers before you could even catch your breath. It was beautiful, chaotic, and most importantly, it worked. Contrast that with the grind-it-out philosophy we've seen recently. The Fever brought in veterans who simply don't fit the timeline or the speed of a generational talent. We've seen lineups where Aaliyah Boston is essentially playing point guard, while Clark is relegated to being a floor spacer. It's baffling. It's like having a master chef in the kitchen and asking them to wash the dishes while the waiter tries to cook the steak. Bluder's interview made it clear. You don't force Caitlin Clark to fit your system. You build the entire universe around her. And right now, the Fever feel like a team trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And the friction is starting to show. Perhaps the most exposed element of this entire situation is the team culture. We've all seen the rumors about jealousy and the cold shoulder Caitlin has received from some veterans in the league. Bluder addressed this head-on by explaining how she handled it at Iowa. She had a mantra. When her light shines, it shines on all of us. She held weekly meetings to ensure every player understood that Caitlin's success wasn't a threat. It was a rising tide that lifted every boat. Look at players like Kate Martin or Gabby Marshall. They became household names because they embraced the spotlight Clark brought. In Indiana, that buy-in seems to be missing. Instead of a cohesive unit feeding off the energy of a superstar, we see a disjointed group, where some players seem more interested in their own stats than winning. When Natasha Howard is talking about MVPs and the offense is stagnating, it's a sign that the shared light philosophy has been replaced by individual egos. There is a fundamental clash happening in the coaching ranks. Many pro coaches feel the need to be the alpha dog. They want to prove that their system is what wins games, not just one talented player. This is exactly where things are falling apart. Bluder was humble enough to realize that her job wasn't to teach Caitlin how to play basketball. It was to provide the platform for her to excel. She gave Clark the keys to the kingdom and trusted her. The current coaching approach feels more like a power struggle. By micromanaging every possession and stifling Clark's creativity, the coaching staff is trying to prove they are in charge. But in doing so, they are losing the locker room and the fans. The tension is palpable, and if something doesn't change soon, we might be looking at one of the biggest what-if tragedies in sports history. It's not just about the plays, it's about the spirit of the game. When a player like Caitlin Clark is told to play safe, you are effectively killing her confidence. Bluder's interview was a reminder that you have to live with the mistakes to get the magic. If she throws a turnover trying to make a spectacular play, you don't bench her. You encourage her to try it again. But in the pros, the leash is short. The constant corrections and the rigid structures are starting to take a toll. We've seen moments where Clark looks frustrated, not with her teammates, but with the very system she's being forced to run. It's a silent form of sabotage. You don't have to bench a player to ruin them. You just have to take away their joy. And for a player whose entire game is built on joy and spontaneity, that is the ultimate danger. The fans are already screaming for a change. And after this interview, the calls for Lisa Bluder to come out of retirement are reaching a fever pitch. Bluder knows the blueprint. She has the cheat codes to Caitlin's game. She wouldn't need a year to figure things out. She could fix the Indiana Fever's offense in a single afternoon. The reality is that Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-century talent, and you cannot afford to waste her prime years on a learning curve for a coaching staff that doesn't seem to get it. Whether it's bringing Bluder back as a consultant or a full-time head coach, the message is clear. The current path is a dead end. At the end of the day, Lisa Bluder didn't have to say a single negative word about the current coaching staff to expose them. By simply describing what it takes to make Caitlin Clark great, she highlighted everything that is currently missing in Indiana. The fearlessness, the soccer-style vision, and the shared light are all absent from the current Fever DNA. We are watching a masterpiece being painted over by someone who doesn't understand the colors. If the franchise wants to save its future and honor the talent they were gifted, they need to stop trying to control the fire and start letting it burn. Because if they don't, that fire might just burn the whole house down. What do you think? Is it time for a total coaching overhaul? Or can this relationship be saved? Let us know in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started.